I'll be honest with you guys, I have an idea for a found footage movie. Hey guys, what is going on? This is your old pal CHH. Man, this is exciting. We've got a second site release to talk about today. And not only is it found footage, but get this. Finally, we have a fully region-free second site release. So I just wanted to get that off right off the bat, just tell you guys that, because that's really cool. I remember when I got this in, I didn't look at the back right away because I got it in while I was doing just like a ton of work. So I just kind of like looked at it for a second. I was like, oh, awesome. So I was getting ready to go watch this movie this morning. I looked at the back and I was like, oh, the Triangle of Freedom is what I call it, man. So I was super excited about that. And it kind of makes sense because, you know, with Creep, they don't really have that much physical media releases. I think it was Dead Pit that told me they might have had like a very limited DVD run back in the day, but as far as I was aware, this was like the home video debut, but I guess not technically, but like in a bigger scale, definitely. So I want to talk about this movie for a second. My story with Creep goes back to when I just moved back to my hometown around early 2016, and I remember I was at the house. I had a few days off work, or it might have just been the weekend. And it was a rainy evening, and I was just trying to find something to watch. I was just like, this was still at a time around 2016 was when you could go on Netflix and just be surprised by some of the cool horror stuff you'd find on there. And sure enough, I would go flip through, and there was this image of this dude, very much like shadowed under a porch light with the title Creep. Right away, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like it's something I want to check out. And I never had much history with Mark Duplass, the actor that plays Creep, much less the director and other star, Patrick Bryce in here. But I remember watching this movie, and by 2016, I was already a big found footage fan. I remember seeing Blair Witch, the 2016 Blair Witch, maybe around the same time when that came out. But I fell in love with this movie. I'll tell you why I love Creep so much. Now there's different avenues of found footage, right? Like there's big budget found footage, there's indie found footage and things like that. But then there are certain found footage movies that truly capture the almost the true art of it. It's when you take a couple people or just take a small group, no money, and you just come up with something that works on a zero budget scale. When you think about Creep, that's really what it is. And I learned so much about this movie through this release, but it just works. I love it so much. And I'll never forget when I was watching this movie this time, I couldn't help but notice, like, it's kind of funny. Like, in the very beginning, when Patrick pulls up to the guy's house, and Mark Duplass pulls out, and he's like, give me a hug, because trust me, we're going to get really close in this time together. Just give me a hug. He backs up, and he's just like, this is going to be a great day. And then the hard cut to when you go inside the house, like, there are some great funny edits in this. And, interestingly enough, I'm kind of jumping around on this, so when I was watching the special features of this release, which obviously Mark and Patrick do full-length interviews describing their history with the movie, how it came to be, and that sort of thing, Patrick said that the movie started out as a dark comedy. And that makes so much sense when you watch it because of how funny the movie really is. Now, it went through a lot of editing, and then when Blumhouse got involved, then it really turned into a horror movie. But some of those lines in there, I can see how that's really just dark humor. So I love the movie. I've been pretty vocal. I'm not a huge fan of Creep 2. To me, it's just like the cat's out of the bag. The introduction of this guy, especially for me when I didn't really know much about Mark Duplass before, he was the Creep. Like, that's what I knew him as. So, like, I love the first movie. It just works. It's not a movie that has the best acting from, like, Patrick, the director. He's good enough. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and he was acting in the movie, I think it's really sounded like just out of necessity. Maybe he would have wanted to cast somebody else had money been a bigger thing for them. But I like him in this movie, but like you could tell he's definitely not like a seasoned actor. But I like him in this movie. That performance is a performance that really goes with that essence of a good cult found footage movie. It's like it's good enough. But I love him in the movie. Like, I wouldn't trade him for necessarily like somebody that has better acting. It's not like it's one of those movies that lives in that weird little nebulous of slipping through the cracks of being something that should have just been not that great, and like there's a bunch of I need to do a video about this. There's a bunch of like cheap ass Amazon Prime found footage movies, like stuff like Ben and things like that this could have fell in that category, but it didn't. It turned out to be a really fun, it just cut through and became really like a cult classic. So I love Creep. It's a really good found footage movie. So like I said, guys, this is region free. Now here's the box. I thought that's a good look for this. It's got this real bluish hue to it. Not that bad. Let's talk about the special features real quick, then we'll look at the stuff inside. Special features, we got a new audio commentary with Patrick Bryce, Christopher Donlin, and Mark Duplass. We have an archival audio commentary with Patrick Bryce and Mark Duplass. Peach Fuzz, a new interview with Patrick Bryce. I want to stop right here for a second and say his interview was fantastic because Patrick really talked about the genesis of the movie, how he met Mark Duplass. They met because Patrick's girlfriend, I think now wife, was babysitting Mark Duplass's kid. And so they met that way and just hit it off. And, Patrick was getting into filmmaking and that sort of thing. So that's really the genesis of how those guys met, which is just amazing. We have Into Dark Territory, a new interview with Mark Duplass, which, again, Mark was fantastic. And I can't help but when I look at Mark, he's a creepy-looking dude. Like, Mark Duplass is a creepy-looking dude. And this movie has ruined it for me because, like, I always see him as being, like, a creep. Like, I just can't help it. Expand the Universe, a new interview with Christopher Donlin, which was also great. 10 Years of Creep, a live Q&A with the cast and crew. Deleted scenes, cold opening. Alternative scene, message to Aaron, and alternative endings. Yeah, so there was a lot of alternative stuff that they did in this, and they talked all about this. The different endings they filmed, the different style of stuff they filmed. Ultimately, I think the ending that they went with is the best, but they had some stuff that would have gone more in line with, like, making it like a dark comedy kind of movie. And when they talked about Blumhouse getting involved with this movie, Jason test screened the absolute dog mess out of this movie, and they basically reshaped it into what the movie was. But like they had endings that people hated. There were no payoffs and that sort of thing. I would have liked to have seen the initial cut of Creep, which they wanted to call the movie Peach Fuzz, or Mark Duplass did. And then Jason Blum was like, "You're out of your mind. We're not calling it movie Peach Fuzz." So it was great special feature wise, which is where this works. It's a Blu-ray release, which is perfectly fine. I'll give you guys, if you're a patron, you've already seen this, but I recorded a video that I did called I forget the name of it. It's basically something like, is found footage on 4K pointless? Because I've watched some found footage stuff on 4K and I don't really like it. But this is a Blu-ray, so this doesn't fall in line with that. But I'll post that video soon. But I love that with the Blu-ray releases, they give you an actual case, which I think a lot of us prefer than kind of like those kind of like little booklet things. Very basic on the inside. You've got your disc in there. I like the artwork on that. That's him in the tub. That tub scene is weird, man. So we have the case for the movie, which I kind of wish that they would adopt that with the 4K stuff. All their Blu-ray stuff, they give you cases, which, is nice. We have our cards, which I'll be gentle, because every time I say I wish they could get rid of this, people are like, dude, I like the cards, which that's fair. That's fair. That's the iconic shot, which was the poster that I saw for this on Netflix. That's Patrick. Peach Fuzz, look at that. That mask is cool. There is the artwork for the cover of the release. And there you go. So there's your cards. And I did flip through this book, and the book is cool. The book has different parts to it. And what I like about the book is, especially in the beginning of the book, it really talks about the psychology of the movie and the character of Mark Duplass, which was really, really interesting. Like, here's like the second part. There's a little Peach Fuzz inside of you, and they kind of talk about like, the psychology behind the movie, which is really good. And there's great pictures in here, and it was a breezy read. I got through about half of it while I was watching the movie, and I really enjoy it. So I love the books. The books I do love. So it's a really nice release, guys. So I will say this. This is obviously this is the collector's edition, which, you know, eventually I'm probably going to get some standard edition stuff from Second Sight, simply because, you know, getting space is definitely something to be concerned about with these kinds of releases. But with Creep, I love the movie so much. To me, it was just like, okay, I want to get that collector's version of Creep. It's a good looking Blu-ray. I mean, what I like about it, this goes back to the kind of like indie nature of it, you know. When you have scenes in the movie where it's low light in the house, there's more film grain, or not film grain, but there's more grain to it because the camera's iOS is cranking up, you know, to try to pretty much bring light into the image, and that causes grain and things like that. And like, it looked good. It was a good looking Blu-ray, but it looked like really authentic. So yeah, I was really happy with this release. This is just a great release. So I say, guys, check this out and pick this up. And even if you don't want to get the bells and whistles version, the special features on here were great. I mean, they did everything. They had Mark, Patrick, and the film editor on here, and they talked all about the making of the film, and I love that sort of stuff. That's the home run for me, is the making of the films and getting the people to talk about how it started to how it ended. And it was so, I'll be honest with you guys, I have an idea for a found footage movie. It's a movie that's called Ring, okay? And my idea for this movie is to be a found footage movie that just uses Ring cameras. Now, obviously, I may not be able to call it that for licensing reason, but I want to make this movie. And watching this documentary stuff on here truly inspired me. I want to make my movie called Ring. I have a small outline for the plot, and this inspired me, the special features on this. So this is a great release, guys. Pick up this, or get the standard version of the release, which basically means you'll get this, but you get all those interviews, and I mean, it's amazing. So great job, Second Sight. Kind of a great way to end the year for me with one of these releases like Creep. So cheers, Second Sight. I mean, you guys keep sucking out all my money with all these good releases you guys put out. So great job on the special features. You guys never skimp, which is amazing. Thank you guys for watching this. Creep, guys, check it out. I'll see y'all next time. Huge, giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind-the-scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.